Good morning and welcome to Worldwide Wisdom. We are exploring one of the greatest sages of the past millennium, and his name is Rabbi Levi the Kuzari. We're learning the Kuzari. We're learning about the foundations of Jewish faith as articulated by the Kuzari. We're working our way through the introduction to this book, which is the Kuzari. It's available on Amazon, I believe, and we're working our way through it. Today we're going to talk about it. We're on page 8. We're going to talk about the golden calf as the paradigm, the golden calf, the paradigm for serving God. We're going to learn about some principles of the Kuzari, which are chosenness and the lack of egalitarianism in Judaism, foundations of faith. It's not one size fits all, right? It's like the Apple charger and the Samsung charger. And you can't say that I'm an egalitarian and I'm going to plug my Apple into my Samsung charger, because if you try too hard, it's going to break, right? And you can't say I'm going to plug my Tesla into my washing machine because that's egalitarian. You can't do that. It's got to be that you've got, each plug has got its own formula, right? And one man's wife is another man's poison. Right, and it's not egalitarian. It's not. You know, we've got specificity. So God has chosen certain things, God has chosen certain places, and God has chosen certain people. These are foundations of our faith that we're going to be exploring now on page 8. Okay, bottom of the page. So the golden calf. What is the golden calf? As this affirmation of deed over creed, which we learned about in the previous lesson, that it's a founding principle of Jewish faith. It's a revolution of Jewish faith, which is the primacy of deed. In other religions or faith systems, and again, I'm no expert in other faith systems, but from what I understand, there's a de-emphasis on action and an overemphasis on intention, right? You talk about, the monks of Tibet, the ascetics that are not speaking for years. There's a good story about it. There's actually there's always Jews behind these revolutions, right? So there's a story about a Jewish guy. He goes up to the mountains of Tibet over there in the Himalayas, and he finds himself some sort of an ashram where the custom in the ashram is that you have to remain silent for 2 months. You're not allowed to speak for 2 months, and after 2 months, you're allowed to speak 2 words to the guru. 2 words. So this Jewish guy, Morris Goldstein's from New York City. He's looking for a better life. If he goes to the ashram for 2 months, he's holding himself back and say, "Well, eventually after 2 months, he gets his 30 seconds with the guru, and he says, bed hard. Bed hard.
No, 2 words. Bed hard.
2 words, bed hard. He goes back for that 2 months. After 2 months, he has another 30 seconds with the guru, and he says, food cold. After the 3rd time, he's got 2 months. He says, I don't know, what does he say? I don't remember what he says. He says something about, I don't know, he says, whatever complaint he says.
Something about the tear in the tent.
He says roof leaking, right? The guru says, you got to get out of here. You got to go home. All you've ever done since you came here is complain.
Never heard that one?
So there's the de-emphasis.
Even if I heard it.
There's a de-emphasis on action. In Judaism, there's an overemphasis on action. Think about it. We're like indulging in food. The story, I'm sure I told you the story. I was on a plane once late at night, and I ordered myself a little gin and tonic. And this little Jewish kid who thought he was a Christian, sitting next to me.
He thought he was a Christian?
He thought he was a Christian, yeah. And he saw me pouring myself a little gin. And he said, "Is that what I think it is?" I said, "Yeah, you want some?" He thought it was sacrilegious for a rabbi to be drinking alcohol, because maybe in Islam, they don't drink alcohol, or in Christianity they're celibate. In Judaism, we get married. Kohen Gadol, the high priest who wasn't married, was disqualified. There was a reserve high priest on Yom Kippur. There was a reserve high priest. Why? In case the high priest's wife died. So he wasn't considered a complete man. He wasn't considered married, and therefore he would be disqualified. That's why they had to have a reserve in the wings ready to go, so that he would be a married man ready to go. Because marriage is fundamental, right? intimate conjugal relations. It's critical, it's vital to Jewish life, as is food, cholent, kishke, herring, kichel, schmaltz herring, all of that is very important. Wine, good wine. You're going to have this on Shabbos, This is very important to our heritage as Jews, and the deed is primary. You can have the highest of intentions, but if you didn't carry through with action, then what have you done? You've done nothing, right? Which is why we say to people, and I think I mentioned this the other day. I see a Jew to lay tefillin. He says, "But I don't believe in God." So I said, "So what? Still lay tefillin. Just because you don't believe in God, you can still lay the tefillin. The act is important. Just because you're a shmendrik that you didn't get a proper education, or maybe you don't understand, fine. So your head doesn't understand. Why should the rest of your body suffer, right? It's like a person says, I don't understand the human digestive system. Therefore, I'm not eating breakfast. I mean, what's wrong with you, man? Okay, you go to college one day. Maybe you'll take a course in Khan Academy, right? One day, but like eat breakfast. Like, what's the problem, right? So we emphasize the action. Why? Because Hashem desired a dwelling place in this physical world.
I respectfully disagree with what you just said.
Okay. Tell me. Go to Heckler. Yeah.
Extra heckler.
Intention is as important as your deed.
Your intention is as important as your deed. Okay. And why is that?
Because I've learned that if you plan on doing something and God forbid, God doesn't let you do it, you still get credit for it.
It says in the Talmud, correct. It says in the Talmud, machshava tova, a good intention. HaKadosh Baruch Hu mitzarfa lemaaseh. Hashem attaches it to action. A good intention, God attaches it like force places it as if it was done. True? Does say that? Now, let's not discount the importance of intention. Let's not discount.
He's not precluding that.
Yeah, I'm not precluding the importance of intention. Intention is very important, but when you have a choice of action or intention, kavanah, which is, the meditation or doing the action trumps it. And in fact, I'll tell you this. There's a big debate in the Talmud in Menachos, I think it is, where the Gemara debates about what's Gadol, Talmud Gadol or Maisa Gadol. Is learning, is study, is academia more important, or is the action more important? Right? And Rabbi Tarfon says action is more important. Action is much more important. But Rabbi Akiva says no. Rabbi Akiva says no. Academia is more important. Why is academia more important? Because it ultimately leads to action. In other words, the purpose, the greatness of the intention is only when it leads to action, not in and of itself. It's not great that all agree that in and of itself the intention is not primary.
They're giving tzedakah for the wrong reason.
Oh, that's a good example.
Well, it's not the right.
That's a very good example. There's a discussion in the Code of Jewish Law about this. It says, discussion in the Code of Jewish Law. It says, if somebody was forced to eat matzah, he had matzah stuffed down his throat, did he fulfill the mitzvah? Now, we study this law and we're like, who are these people? Who are these people that are stuffing matzah down people's throats? And then we realize they're Chabadniks. They stop the Jew on the side of the street. Are you Jewish? Soon they're like, open your mouth. It's
please.
They're shoving it down his throat. So what's going on here? Let's talk about this. So when you're eating matzah, when you have an intention not to eat the matzah, you've still fulfilled the mitzvah. If you gave charity without knowing that you gave charity, you're walking down the street and you dropped a $100 bill by mistake, and you regret that you feel that you lost a $100 bill. You feel bad that you lost a $100 bill. Okay. If you found out that the $100 bill was given to charity, you'd be angry, right? But it was given to charity and a poor person ate dinner from it. You still fulfilled the mitzvah. You see what I'm saying? So not to discount the importance of of intention, but still action trumps it all. But now take a look at how he's going to analyze it. This is the reason why the Jews did the golden calf. This is what he's going to say. Why did they do the golden calf? Because they were trying to serve God. They said action doesn't matter so much. Who cares how you do it? As long as you do it, as long as you have the right intention. And that's when they were penalized. Take a look. Bottom page 8. This affirmation of deed over creed may also explain a number of other emphases in the Kuzari. For example, in the middle of the first essay, Rabbi Yehuda Levi digresses for several pages to explain how this holy chosen nation of Jews could stray and worship a golden calf so soon after they had seen and heard God's voice on Mount Sinai. How could they do such a thing? Rabbi Yehuda Levi's exposition on the golden calf is considered by later commentaries as essential for an understanding of this whole biblical narrative. You've got to study the way he teaches it because it doesn't make sense otherwise. His basic analysis of the story is, think about it. The Jewish people just married God. They're still on the honeymoon 7 weeks later, and they're already cheating with someone else.
Something lesser.
Who does this? I mean, seriously, guys, who behaves like this? His basic analysis of the story is that the Jewish people were in no way rejecting God by choosing a golden calf. Instead, they felt that this was a way of enhancing their service to him. This was their way of enhancing their service to him. Why? They argued that it is acceptable and correct to violate one particular commandment against idolatry in order to better serve God on the whole. They said, no. You're not allowed to do certain actions, fine, but our intention is good. Remember, why did they serve idolatry? They said Moses is gone. So we need another way to connect to God. So instead of connecting to God through Moses, through our Rebbe, we're going to connect to God through the golden calf. Where did they get the idea of the golden calf from, by the way? Where did this idea come from? They knew there was going to be a temple. They knew that they were going to build a temple, and what was going to be the focal point of the temple? The golden cherubs. The golden cherubs. They knew there was going to be the Ark of the Covenant, the golden cherubs, and they knew that they were going to be serving God through some golden thingamajig. They said, okay, so we're going to do it now. Problem was, the golden cherubs were commanded by God. The golden calf was not commanded by God, right? This action is good. This action is not good. Not all actions are equal. Not all items are equal. What's the big deal? It's gold, it's gold. What's the difference? Because not all physical items are the same. Their tragic mistake was predicated on the idea that the ends justify the means, which is another way of stating that as long as one's intentions are desirable to the Creator, one's specific deeds are of no great consequence. It is this most fundamental error that Rabbi Yehuda Levi wished to highlight and dispel and discuss in the golden calf. So in other words, the golden calf can be understood as a profound lesson to teach the Jews a lesson for the ages. Here we are, we experience the most spiritual, awesome experience. We experience the shock and awe revelation of God Almighty, and an event that actually paralyzed the physical world. Remember, during the revelation of God on Mount Sinai, they died, their souls expired. The first 2 commandments that God spoke, and eventually Moses had to speak the rest. Right? So the reality of this physical world was suspended. They could have easily concluded that it's all about the spiritual and not about the physical.
That's what they felt they needed Moses, and if he wasn't there, they needed some intermediary.
Right, because it was too far removed. Which, by the way, explains Christianity too, by the way. What's Christianity? Christianity is a need for mediation. Exactly. They're looking for a mediator. They needed a conduit. They needed some sort of a connector with God Almighty. Now, you can't pick your own one. God picks the intermediary, not us. Right? So you can understand where they were coming from in the golden calf. They wanted to do the right thing. It's kind of like in a marriage, think about it. You can have the best of intentions in the marriage. But if you didn't actually carry through an action, then you messed it up, right? I'm just thinking of the story.
Well, that's what the phrase, the road to hell is paved
with good intentions, right? So, this wife comes home, she says, today is? He says, Monday, January, 15th, whatever. So she says, it's our anniversary, doofus. Right? It's our anniversary. You couldn't believe it. You couldn't believe it's our anniversary. I shouldn't have said that word. That wasn't nice, right? Sorry. She said it wasn't me. She said, it's our anniversary. How do you forget our anniversary? She says, listen to you. This is your last chance. If by tomorrow morning, I don't find on the driveway something that goes from 0 to 200 in 3 seconds flat,
okay,
I'm out of here. She wakes up in the morning. She sees a little tiny box in the driveway, gift wrapped. So curious, what on earth is this? She opens it up. She finds the bathroom scale.
0 to 200 in 3 seconds.
The funeral was scheduled the same day. It's not about the intention. It's about the action, right? It's about the action. And that's what it's all about. And I think this is what the beauty of what the Kuzari is teaching us. So fundamental. We're going to learn it inside. But we're getting a bit of an orientation here. That the purpose was to teach the Jewish people, yes, God is spiritual, but he wants the physical. God, and forgive me, I don't mean to say God is spiritual. God is abstract.
Transcendent.
God is transcendent. That's a better word. I don't think God is spiritual. I think God is
That's a-
transcendent
that's a
because God is
basic
as
understanding.
physical as he is spiritual. It is easy to conclude that because God is transcendent, therefore he is spiritual. And I think that's what many other religions
That is
say.
exclusive.
That's what many other religions that they're like, listen, as long as our intention is to fight for our faith, it doesn't matter if we're murdering a lot of people.
Mm.
That's what I think Christianity has said over the past,
2,000 years.
2,000 years. They're like, look, we're fighting for the right reason. We're fighting for the church. We're fighting for the Pope. We're fighting for whatever, for the
For love.
Trinity. Therefore, for love, the ends justify the means. Just because we might be murdering, massacring men, women, and children, villages, towns, have cities, and entire communities, doesn't matter.
It's for God.
It's for God.
And fellow Christians they murdered. The Protestants against
Yeah,
the
and
Catholics
the same
in
thing with
France.
the Muslims as well.
The
You know,
Muslims.
all those, anybody who was considered an infidel, the ends justify the means. In Judaism, no. An action is primary because God is not spiritual. God is transcendent. And transcendent means that God wants us to connect with him how he wants us to connect with him. And how is that? Through the actions. Are you following Jerome's very fundamental principle? And it's okay if you're not, by the way. It's okay if you're not, because this is a very big idea. I want to just validate if you're experiencing some confusion here. If you are, let me know. What do you think?
Cacophony.
You're evolving through this?
He's okay.
And that's why I want to tell you guys that it's so important that you show up and show and you daven. That's so important, even if you're not in the mood. Because it's not about being in the mood. You know, when somebody's on a spiritual journey, they start off their spiritual journey. There's a member of the show who's not here today because he tells me that he's not feeling the same inspiration that he used to feel. And so he's not here today. When he started his spiritual journey, he was going, from 0 to 100. Everything was a novel experience. It was exciting. But now he's going from 100 to 200 and he's already familiar. He's already oriented. He's like, give me the throw, Rabbi. I want the dopamine. Yeah. He wanted the dopamine. I'm like, it's not about the dopamine. It's not about, it's about consistency, right? That's what it's about. It's about delivering. It's like, imagine a husband says to his wife, I'm not feeling excited anymore about you. Like, what am I supposed to do about that? Jump in the lake. Like, what am I supposed to do? This is real life. This is not Hollywood movies here, right? So this is the fake it till you make it. Fake it till you make it. Yeah. Fake it till you make it, which means even if you don't feel the love, even if you're not feeling inspired, do the deed. Yeah. So let's keep on going. Jewish mysticism. Rabbi Yehuda Levi also emphasized the need to understand Jewish mystical works, most notably Sefer Yetzirah, the book of creation, which allegedly was written by God and was found in the library in the Garden of Eden. Did you know that?
They had a library there.
That's pretty cool, right?
Rob, did you fix the shelves?
That's pretty cool. That there was apparently
there was only one book.
Apparently, now there was some sort of a library. I wonder what other books were there, but at least Sefer Yetzirah was there. Now it's attributed to Adam, whether God gave it to Adam or Adam wrote it himself. I'm not exactly clear. Maybe one day, Sefer Yetzirah, the book of creation, the oldest book known to mankind. We should study it. But Kuzari addresses this book, right? So let's see. He presents a lengthy explanation of how God created the universe using this manual for creation. How's that? How's that for a good book to read? The manual that God used for creation, Sefer Yetzirah. Yeah. This is in contrast. We're working our way up. We're working through Kuzari. We'll get through the classic books. This is in contrast to many Jewish philosophers in Spain then who tended to shy away from and de-emphasize Jewish mysticism. Remember that this is 12th century right now. The explosion of Jewish mysticism happened in 1492 when the Spanish Jews escaped from the Iberian Peninsula, and they went to Ashkenazi lands, and they brought with them the more liberal tolerance of Jewish mysticism, and that's when Kabbalah exploded and evolved into the Hasidic movement, which is the irrational understanding. These Chabadists, the rational understanding of Kabbalah. Tzfat was right after the Spanish expulsion.
Sarajevo, Tzfat.
Right, beautiful.
Salonika.
Yeah.
So
in the 12th century, it was still a closely guarded secret, the teachings of Kabbalah, right? So they were still a little nervous about it. One of the reasons why Rabbi Yehuda Levi was an early adapter to embrace the Kabbalah. Why? He felt the need to do the opposite is because of his rejection of many of the Greek conceptions of creation and the origin of the universe. Remember the Greek conception of the origin of the universe? Aristotle believed that the world always existed, like God always existed. That's why he rejected prayer, because God cannot overrule the world, which is just as old as he. So if you're in a world which existed forever, then you then you have different ways of dealing with morality and ethics. But that's subsequently been rejected, by the way. The Big Bang Theory has rejected the Aristotelian approach to the origins of the universe, but in the 12th century, they didn't know that. So in order to reject another perfectly logical system, one must have an alternate, equally cogent explanation for the existence of the universe. The Book of Creation, Sefer Yetzirah, provides just that. So we're going to be talking about Sefer Yetzirah in the Kuzari. It's a good idea to orient yourself, because from what I understand, it's not an easy read. Furthermore, the very fact that Rabbi Yehuda Halevi so strongly emphasized the need. I don't know if it's ever been translated. Maybe not. You know who might have done it?
I've never read it.
I think Aryeh Kaplan did it. If you look in Aryeh
It's
Kaplan,
going to be a liberal translation.
I think he translated it. Furthermore, look it up. Tell me if you find it.
I'm looking at it.
Sefer Yetzirah. Furthermore, the very fact that Rabbi Yehuda Halevi so strongly emphasized the need for a specific mode of behavior creates a bit of a dilemma. If Rabbi Yehuda Halevi emphasizes the specific mode of behavior, what's the problem? Because now, what is the logic? What is the logic behind one species of animal being kosher and another not? If action is so important, then why is one action better than another? Why must an altar have specific dimensions? Why must the incense be comprised of specific ingredients to the extent that if anything is changed, it invalidates the service? Why is God so pedantic? Does he really care if I'm laying tefillin on this arm or that arm? Does he care if the corner of my tefillin boxes is exactly 90 degrees or it's 86 degrees? Does he care if the writing inside of my mezuzah has two letters that are attached, touching or they're separated by a hair? Why would this be important? One must conclude that there are certain mysteries contained within the physical universe that are beyond man's comprehension. Indeed, without proper guidance from God, we're like a blind man examining a medicine cabinet, not knowing which herbs and medicines are effective and which are not, and what are the proper dosages, mixtures, etc. Now, I don't have a problem with this personally, because for me, the same God that is transcendent, that wants us to serve him how he wants us to serve him, not how we feel we should serve him. Take that for a second. Process that for a moment. God, we're created in the image of God. We don't create God in our image. I believe that many faith systems create God in their image. And many invented religions do just that. They pick and choose how they want to create their religions. I mean, think about it. How many religions are copycats of Judaism? Just think about that for a moment. Shabbos moved to Friday, Shabbos moved to Sunday. Mikveh moved to baptism waters. Kosher became halal. I mean, think about that for a moment. How many knockoffs we got, right? Right? Just think about that for a moment. So are you serving a God created in your image? Or are you serving a God in whose image you were created? If you're serving a God in whose image you were created, then he calls the shots, not me. Well, I don't want to serve a God that behaves like that. Okay. No, do. You don't have to agree, but you don't have a choice. But if you're going to take that approach, I don't want to serve a God that behaves like this, you're effectively saying, I don't believe in God that is beyond me. I don't believe in a God that is beyond me. I only believe in a God that is in my image.
Domesticated.
I believe in a domesticated God. Right. So that's not a God you want to be worshiping in the first place. So your whole perception of God is skewed, is flawed, right? Skewered too. but
What's for dinner?
But when we are able to accept the fact that God is great, that God is greater than us, God is transcendent, we say, okay, God is going to call the shots. And if God says that this is the color of tefillin, not that, this is who lays tefillin, not that person, and this is when we lay tefillin, not at those times, right? Then I'm okay with that, because to me, this is what God wanted. And how do I know? Because that's what he told us in the Torah, right? And you have to accept the fact that God gave us a book. Because to think that God put us in this world just to grope in the darkness like a blind man rummaging through a medicine cabinet would be sadistic. Because this world is largely hidden from us, we can rely on God's instruction in the Torah. And as Rabbi Yehuda Halevi's great emphasis on the specificity of the mitzvahs that demands a mystical approach to Judaism. And I'd like to just conclude with this next final piece over here. Why? This next piece is just going to say the why. So why is it that God needs this physical world? We have established that our physical behavior is vital to the connection with God. And this is an idea which runs counter to the Greek philosophical belief The Greek philosophers said you want to escape this world through the highest faculties of man, through intellect and rational reason. And that's how, through wisdom, that's how you're going to experience the divine, and actions are meaningless. Torah says the exact opposite. Furthermore, certain kinds of actions are more important and effective than others in establishing this connection. Rabbi Yehuda Levi took this further by establishing that, contrary to the philosopher's belief, physical objects in this world vary as to their ability to receive divinity or to connect with God. Just like different elements and compounds have different chemical qualities, this is good for healing the flu, and this is good for healing COVID, right? But not everything is good for healing COVID. They also have different propensities for receiving divine influence. This is why, for example, an esrog is appropriate as one of the 4 species of sukkahs and not a lemon, even though the 2 fruits are physically very similar. It's about doing what God asked for, not doing what you think is cool. This whole mindset runs contrary to the philosophical belief that God, or the prime cause, as he is known to philosophers, is so far removed from the physical world that he does not concern himself with specific actions or objects on the physical plane. Now, I want to just say that Kuzari is going to use examples from medicine, but I think that we have the ability to think on a far more modern level. When you look at radio, so radio waves are everywhere, like God is everywhere, but I can't really receive the radio waves in my coffee cup. I need to have a transistor thing, right? And it's only that physical object that receives the signal, and the coffee cup does not receive the signal, right? Same thing with Wi-Fi. You could have a device that is capable of receiving the signal, but if you're not logged into the code, you're not going to receive the signal, right? And that's the tragedy of what's going on in Iran right now. It's so tragic to think that because they don't have Wi-Fi, but and we're fighting, it's a star war that's going on right now, where Elon Musk is fighting with the Ayatollah they're fighting over jamming devices and overriding the jamming signals. And the Ayatollahs are the jamming signals are specifically in order to prevent uploading videos and photos, in order to expose the genocide, the real genocide. Have you heard the word genocide, by the way, in Iran?
Never.
No, I'm serious. Has anybody said the word genocide in the past 10 days?
Well, Iranians killing Iranians wouldn't be by their
that's not called
definition.
genocide?
No, because you're killing your own genus. You're killing your own people.
So what is that called? Just Holocaust? What is that?
It's
called a massacre, mass
It's a
murder.
massacre. It's a
Mass
massacre.
murder.
But it's interesting.
I'm unaware of any protest in any college campus.
Isn't that incredible?
Not a word.
Not a word.
Not one
Oh, because you know what? If you would protest, it means you'd be supporting Trump, who's against this, right? And that would be, my enemy's enemy.
Goes beyond.
That's
Right.
sophisticated.
Yeah, it's too sophisticated.
Doesn't have to do with
Jews.
Jews.
No Jews, no
That's
news.
what-
And how tragic.
They're not getting paid to.
Oh, they're not getting paid.
Yeah,
They're not getting paid.
Qatar's cut off the
Oh
money.
my God. Isn't it tragic, the world that we live in?
What the most tragic thing is the media doesn't even
Okay,
cover it. Doesn't point out that profound hypocrisy.
the countries that are,
Not supporting.
what do you mean not supporting
Not
Iran?
supporting
The
the
revolution?
revolution.
Well,
The silence.
Russia, China.
Silence is
they
deafening.
want the mullahs to
Denmark.
Put
and
a
Danish.
side by.
It's really
It's
really alarming that we
Get it
live in
right.
Florida. We live in Florida, and it's almost like we live in the minority. It's like we're the 20% of the Jews in Egypt. We're the Jews that actually came out of it. The majority of people in the world today seem to be, on the wrong side of history. It's like, what do you mean? In America, in the college campuses, these kids that are going to be the leaders of the next generation. Scary. I mean, they're not even Protestants. What are they, communists? What are they, dictators?
Yes.
Well, look at
It-
New York.
It's really alarming. It's really, really disturbing.
Because it's becoming so mainstream. It's like the firebombing of the synagogue in Mississippi.
Yeah.
I didn't hear.
Your protest? Your condemnation? Nothing. So I just want to conclude, guys, that the war that the massacre in Iran is subject to these like Wi-Fi devices. If somebody had like one of those little, Wi-Fi sticks, that they could be able to upload a photo that, the masses of bodies. I saw a picture this morning of a corpse. I don't know. I don't know where they come from. They're dribbling out, because of the jamming devices, right? So this corpse, a girl was in a corpse in a body bag, and her living sister was like embracing her, and it was heartbreaking. She refused to, and people were trying to pry her away from the dead sister, and she couldn't. She wasn't leaving her sister. And it's just heartbreaking, to think that this is what people have to experience in 2026. But so it's a device, and you could say, well, any device is good, Rabbi. Don't be so religious. I could use any device. No, there's a war being happening over here, a war on innocent, unarmed individuals that are unable to protect themselves because they don't have Wi-Fi, right? And it's shuddering. In this,
even if they had Wi-Fi, whatever's coming out, the world is not reacting to.
They would ignore it
well,
anyway.
thank God for the United States of America that hopefully is going to get involved. But bottom line is that in the same way the Wi-Fi devices need the signal, so too a mitzvah to channel divinity, divine Wi-Fi, needs to have the code, which means the code is the way that God said it. Who decides the code? The person, the guy behind the Wi-Fi, the router. That's the one that decides the code. The code means tefillin has to be by the Jewish male over the age of 13 in the daytime, not the nighttime, and in this format and not another format, right? And it's this animal is kosher and that animal is not kosher. So this is why we can understand even more than the Kuzari in the 12th century. Today we're in the 21st century, and we're able to understand and appreciate that certain physical places are holy or conducive to holiness and others are not. And when we serve a God in whose image we were created, we're able to appreciate that importance, the primacy of the physical deed and the physical space. And we'll leave that at that for today. Thank you very much.
Rabbi.
Yeah.